Hey, it's the podcast guy.
Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. It's the Sutton Podcast.
And there it is! Sutton United at the GM Vauxhall Conference have put out First Division Coventry City, winners of the FA Cup themselves less than 2 years ago. And what a moment to enjoy for the fans of this Surrey side. They've had their moments before, but never one like this. But the whistle goes down. Delight for Sutton United. Sutton United from the National League are through to the last 16 of the FA Cup. No longer English football's perennial non-league club. A 123-year crescendo reaches a new peak for Sutton United, who are promoted to the Football League for the first time.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Sutton United Talk Time on podcast, the Sutton Podcast. We're in association with Lucky Star Gin. I'm your host Mike, and with me on our panel today we have Dan and Mystic Paul. We'll come back to that in a moment. In this episode we are going to be covering the away draw at MK Dons, which in isolation was actually a great game for the neutrals. It was high scoring match, and as I said in my little promo thing, it wasn't the high scoring match, men's match that I've been to. I asked the question on my little Happy Crappy video. No one got it yet, and we'll see if we can work it out later. I know what the answer is. I'm not asking you to work it out. I do know what the answer is. Don't forget, everyone, like, share, retweets, all the rest of it. It is really, really good. I'm getting to a point now where I'm making sure I'm liking or commenting on everything. It's like, oh, I'm running out of time here, so I feel like really big and famous all of a sudden. I feel like Dan. But we're going to dive in. Firstly, Mystic Paul. Anyone who doesn't know the reason, all he had to do last week was enter the Prediction League to secure his victory. He did consider not entering until I pointed out that if Andy got maximum points, then Paul would lose on basically goals scored, which mirrored our team. So he did enter. You got some points. Oh, you didn't get any points actually, no, because you got a point for entering, but you didn't get any of the goals right.
Yeah, I didn't get 4-4, Mike. No, not that mystic.
Yeah, no one did. Funny enough. But how has life been for you? It was a month ago since we had you on. How have you been?
Was it good? Yeah. I've donned the boots, Mike. I thought I better stick a couple of shifts in before the fans' game next week. So I had a bit of nine-a-side action and run out a bit. So survived. I think is the best way to call it. I enjoyed it.
I still haven't even been out for a run. I have struggled getting up and down the stairs, so I have no idea what's going to happen. But I'll put the kit on. That's probably about my only contribution. And Dan, it was after a high-scoring match away that we had you on last time, 2 months ago.
Yeah, Notts County.
A few things happened in between.
Yeah, one or two.
How have you been?
Yeah, not bad. Mega busy at work, but enjoying my hobbies, like going and watching my football team.
Thinking to yourself sometimes, is this really Sutton match I've come to? Because they seem to be doing quite well. Neil was supposed to join us, but his wife informed him that he had other plans. And as everyone knows, that trumps any football-related incident. He did ask me to mention that with the draw, that means he's unbeaten on the pod, should he have been on. But I'm saying he can't actually have that because there was the Phantom episode that didn't actually record and I couldn't rescue, and that was after a loss. And he claimed then that, well, I've never lost, so you can't have both. You have to choose. So we'll find out from him which he wants to choose. Club news, absolutely nothing of note has happened to the football club at all that I want to talk about. Obviously, we're going to have fun next season in the National League, so that'll be good. And the retain list is coming out tomorrow. Well, he's doing the retain list tomorrow. I don't know whether it's actually coming out, but the retain list is being done tomorrow. I am kind of glad it'll be a week or so before I discuss it on the end of season review one, so I get a chance to get over some of the names that I have a feeling will be on it. Obviously, I don't know anything, but there's some feelings. Podcast news. So I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, there's players, directors, management and staff that listen, which freaks me out. And now I can add players' parents to the listeners, because I was stopped to be told that someone really enjoyed the chat I had with Paul Brunson. I was like, oh, lovely. And I listened, it came up on my thing as a new episode, so I listened, found out it was Ollie's mum. So I was like, oh, right. Started panicking, didn't even find out her name. So hello, Ollie's mum and any other parents. Next episode will be the last one, assuming no other celebs jump in and say they want to come on. And we've just today started the players podcast of the podcast player of the season, and it's going to be roughly one round a day. So I can announce the winner next week as well. And plans are being made. The plan is almost dead, but plans are being made for next season. So I don't know what a collective roll of eyes is called, but I can just imagine that's what's happening as everyone is hearing that now. Right, oh, phew. Right, thoughts and expectations ahead of kickoff. First of all, no cheating, no inside knowledge. I got 11 out of 11. I don't care no one else plays that game anymore. I got 11 out of 11. How are you feeling, Paul, when you saw the lineup?
I didn't really look too closely at the lineup, to be honest. I thought, it was like, and I don't play your game, but it was, I mean, it was obviously I was hoping for a result, but I thought, I remember coming on this podcast in November and saying I thought we were down, and I thought it was amazing that we'd taken it to the last game, but there was no way that, I was. I tell you what, I did more this week was looking at my what the National League tour looked like, and I was getting all excited for next year, seeing where I was going to be going again. So I didn't look too close at the team, but obviously when they came out, it looked like obviously we were going for it, and quite strong lineup as well.
Yeah. Well, Dan, you said October maybe that we're down, and you did start to sort of have this little thing of, oh, you bastards. I remember talking to you months ago saying, you know what this lot are going to do? They're going to take it to the last fucking day, give us some hope, and you're like, yeah, I bet they do. We should have put money on that.
Should have done.
What were your thoughts on the lineup and your expectations ahead of the game?
I mean, I know a lot of people. I know it was mathematically possible, but I wasn't sure. Just looking at the longer the week went on, I was like, the more I looked at it, I was like, Crewe Colchester's going to be a draw. It's just going to be a draw. Crewe aren't in good enough form to go and thump someone like Colchester who would be fighting for their lives. Okay. We could have got a result at MK. You don't know. You can only do what you can do. But yeah, the longer I looked at it, I was like, they're going to get that point they need. So I was just a bit relaxed going into the game. It's like, look, for me actually, when I saw the lineups and stuff, it's like, look, let's just get something, and make sure we don't finish bottom. I just didn't want to finish stone dead last, because to be honest, the team didn't deserve that with the efforts over the last month or so. So yeah, I was a bit disappointed not to see Duke McKenna start. Actually, I really wanted to see him start and just give us a bit of impetus, and I think he showed that when he came on. I think we paid more attention to MK's lineup actually, because we were trying to work out if they were resting loads of bodies or not. And we noticed, there's about 5 changes, and then someone said, yeah, but he's a first teamer, he's a regular starter. Oh crap! So they've actually got stronger from last week. Yeah. Great.
Well,
so yeah.
I was one of those who was like, do you know what? The sequence of results we needed wasn't insane. It wasn't you're looking at, if we only win 12-0, then we could do it. It was like, they're not impossible, but they were in the end. So game started. Obviously, we were up in the gods, and it does look really different watching football from there, because you can really see a lot more. I don't think I like it, but it was very, very different. And I saw the goals we described, and you both have different views, because obviously, I think, Paul, you were watching on the iFollow, and Dan, you were there. I sort of described it as soft goals. We'll start with you, Dan. We'll talk about them both because they're very similar. And they were right underneath us, not on top of us, underneath us. But what did you sort of think of the goals? Would you have said they were soft?
They're the sort of goals we have conceded a fair few times this season. I think that's probably a good way to describe them, in that there's little things we maybe could have done to react or to situations and prevent them. But yeah, there was always that little second. There was always a runner, or the second one was it was just again a straight ball down the line, and that seemed to just stretch us out, and we just never recovered shape or anything from it. So it's I don't get me wrong, MK are a good side, played some really good stuff, certainly out of midfield. But yeah, they were a bit. We didn't look like a team that was fighting for our survival. Unfortunately, it was just a bit when they both went in.
I'll come to you simple. I thought they carved us open, but I thought that was more on them doing well than us necessarily doing anything horrendous. I know it was simple balls at the end, but they looked and saw the simple balls. So that's what I was like. I don't think it was soft. I mean, they're preventable, you were saying, but I don't think it was soft.
I wouldn't have. They weren't dreadful. They weren't the standard sort of ball down the left and just a cross in and someone's there for unmarked for a tap in, which we've done a lot this year. But they like I say, it was a combination of maybe we could have reacted or done things a little bit better. They're a good side, and end result is it's in the back of the net.
Exactly. Yeah. But Paul, what was your view watching it and with the replays and the comms?
Yeah, no, I mean same as you guys really. I mean MK Dons are a good side, and the position the game was on, it's a weird one for us, isn't it? I mean, we don't want to be giving it away, but we've actually got to go for it a little bit. So I think the context of the game was an interesting one as well. But we were undone, and we won't get too grumpy, but we've been poor a lot of the times this year, and a lot of it has been the way we've been undone. And those two goals, I don't think were too untypical about how we've been undone over the year. So I think I'm sure we'll have some moans and groans about some of the defensive stuff this year, but actually I think a lot of that comes from the midfield, and I think I don't think they were there was two big surprises there, to be honest, in terms of how they went in.
No, I mean, the only other real notable thing of the half, because I don't remember a lot of it, was Josh being subbed. Now, shortly before that, he'd switched wing with Nino, and literally just before that, he had either set someone up or had a great shot as well. I mean, great chance directly at the keeper, but and then he was subbed, and it was like, what the hell is that? I mean, Dan, were you surprised? I mean, I didn't think he was playing any worse than anyone else on the pitch at that point.
No, I mean, we were a bit surprised by the change, but we obviously worked out that he didn't look obviously injured. He wasn't limping. He jogged off fairly normally, and he had, he'd had an okay day. He'd had that, like you said, chance right before he got subbed. I think he teed up Lakin for a chance in behind before that, earlier in the half as well. So he hadn't played badly. So yeah, we sort of figured that it was some sort of tactical change. Maybe just at the time, Steve admitted afterwards that he got it wrong in midfield and just wanted to get more bodies in there. So
yeah, that was actually quite human of Steve, which he doesn't always do in his interviews. Of like, Josh didn't deserve that. He absolutely didn't deserve that, and I really do. Sorry, and I was like, oh, blimey. But Paul, what did you think of it?
Yeah, same. I was surprised when it happened, and you thought when you go through the reasons why it might happen, then you end up falling with it. Must be tactical, won't you? And as you say, Steve mentioned that in his after game interview. But fair play to him for one, mentioning it, and two, doing it, because you could see he's quite willing to take a player off who's been playing well, but for the good of the team, make the decision. So that was good.
And relatively early, I think it was like 30 minutes or something.
Yeah, it's about 30th minute. Yeah.
Well, on that, I just want to impart again on everyone my football knowledge and experience. And I was chatting to Neil, and we were discussing that how Duke McKenna had come in and he was a real bright spark, but kind of faded recently and wasn't as good and no real end product and blah blah blah. That went well. So he was really good even in the first half, but we were still 2-0 down, and I think most people at that point, had Milton Keynes had anywhere for us all to go for a drink, I suspect some people may have left to go for a drink, but TGI Fridays was not the best place. I mean, it was lovely, don't get me wrong, the staff were great, but it was like $6.50 or something a pint, and you're like, okay, it's going to be a dry day today. But when we came out second half, they were at it, and Steve in particular, Stephen, sorry, was in particular just at it. I mean, we had 4 corners in a row.
Yeah.
I think, again, my memory's never good, but I think, start with you, Paul, I think the 4th one was probably the worst of the lot, but then the ball somehow came back out to Juki, who slotted it in from a tight angle, or maybe that was a different goal, I can't remember. But how were you feeling of the start of the second half and when we kind of pulled it back to 3-1 with Juki's tight angle goal?
Yeah, we were in pride territory at that point, weren't we? So it was, so it was great to see them come out and give it a go. Actually, I mean, you know, they must have been. They obviously knew they had a slim chance, but it was even slimmer at that point, wasn't it? And they could have just given up and gone home, couldn't they? But actually, to come out like that and to give it a last 45, some of them definitely would have known that it's their last 45 for the club and stuff, and they were still gave it a go, which was one of the real positives of yesterday. I've been a big fan of Duke McKenna. I'd like to have seen him more. I remember his first couple of games. He looked lively and looked like a game breaker a little bit. That obviously fizzled out a little bit, but then he didn't get much of a sniff for a long time, did he? So
yeah,
obviously he fell out of favour. So it was nice to see him have a crack again and be that game changer.
Absolutely. I mean, shortly after we got paid back 3-1, and again times blur. I think this was a similar goal to the first 2, but it looked more annoying this time because I think it was Omar didn't deal with it, just didn't run for the ball, and you're like, you're nearest to it. How can you let that bloke just pelt past you? But obviously they're knackered. But the news at some point filtered in that Forest Green were winning, which a lot of people didn't realise that meant we could finish bottom. So there were a lot of people going into the game talking about us surviving and didn't sort of pick up that we could get bottom. But Paul, with you, what were you feeling at 3-1? It didn't stay 3-1 for long, as we know, but what were you feeling at 3-1?
Not much different to any other time, really. But although I was thinking, I really hope they don't get hammered. They don't deserve to get hammered. So that was my main concern, really. That a team who'd certainly over the last couple of months had really put a shift in and turned things around. So to finish it like a 6-1 or something like that would have been really gutting. So
yeah, absolutely.
That was my main thing. It was like let's finish this last 45 on a high, and let's make sure we don't get duffing. And I think that was the boss's opinion as well, wasn't it? As he flooded the midfield. And...
Yeah, we took Ollie off and Dino on at some point. But Dan, how were you sort of feeling 3-1, and then Lakin put it back to 3-2 almost straight away? I think.
Same as Paul, really. Don't get. Well, to quote the gaffer, don't get pumped. Please don't get. I know. We'd started the half really well, really strong, really came out, pulled the one back, and went right. At least we're in a game. And then for them to kind of, but they always had that quality where they could do us on the break. At 3-1, it was like, all right, let's keep our heads up and just don't fold. Let's not, collapse under the weight of this all. Let's just keep going. Then Charlie leathered in the second within a minute or two of them scoring, and that just, I think, just gave everyone again just a little bit of a lift. I think if it had gone 5-10 minutes without any kind of response, I think that might have just flattened everybody out, and that would have been it. But Charlie just gave us all a bit more of a lift again with that goal.
I think that's his 8th or 9th for us.
I think it's 8 for the season. Yeah,
but insane amount for someone who came in so late.
Yeah, in January.
And Paul, what were you sort of feeling at 3-2?
There might be some more goals. I know that. remember
It's a
at that
basketball
time.
game.
I tell you what, because I was on the iFollow. I tell you what, I was thinking at that time. I could hear you guys a lot. Actually, this was really, it was, you know, I mean, it was non-stop, but it was really coming through on the. It was really coming through on the telly.
On the TV, yeah.
So that was nice.
They were loud, and good humour most actually all the way through. To be fair, we'll talk about some of the humour in a little bit. So they then get a free kick. I had Neil informing me the bloke stepping up to the free kick is a free kick specialist and blah, blah, blah. And he fluffed the free kick and Jenny's jumped up sort of mocking Neil going, I thought you said he was good. Ball went straight back in and 4-2. So we were like, great, lovely. We're never going to get ahead in this game. We were clinging to the fact it was 2-2 for the second half at that point. So we were drawing the second half, yeah. Then Juki scored again, and it was a good one. I think we had another chance as well, but I was planning a quiz question at that point, and I was like, my little final quiz question is going to be who was the last Sutton contracted player to score a goal for us in the EFL? Because obviously Duke, a couple, Lakin, and a couple, and it was Dion a couple games ago would have been the last one. Would have been until Harry ruined my quiz question.
Unlucky.
But we did have also a goal ruled out early. I didn't see it, but apparently it was a foul.
Joe Kizzy at the back post wrestling with a. To be fair, it's one of those where it was 6 of one, half a dozen the other. They were both wrestling each other, and then when the ball came in, Joe kind of shoved him off, and he just went sprawling to the turf, and that's why it was ruled out.
Fair enough. Took an age for them to update the scoreboard. So very excitedly, we're taking pictures of the scoreboard showing 4-4 instead of 4-3, going, won't this be funny? It's making a difference because it was 4-4. But Harry's goal, how do you remember that? How do you remember celebrating that, Dan?
At that point, I mean, you could see we were clearly just throwing everything we had at it. I don't know if the lads knew that Forest Green were winning. I don't know if that was something that was affecting, or they were just simply trying to get something out of the game. At that point, I think you could tell that we whilst they were still a danger on the break, we actually had the ascendancy in the game. We were the team on top. So, it was nice to see get an equaliser, get something from the game because the efforts deserved it, certainly second half. It meant we didn't finish bottom, which, as I said earlier, the squad didn't, over the last sort of month or two, haven't really deserved that. They've been better than that. They just haven't quite got the enough wins to kind of just haul us out completely out of trouble. I was happy that the equaliser went in, and then after that they carried on trying to win the game.
Yeah, exactly.
They wanted to get the 3 points.
I mean, Paul, I was thinking at that time of, hang on a minute, the draw is enough for us to not be to not be last, and we cannot get out of it. So let's just sit back for the draw here. But what were you thinking at Harry's goal for us to make it 4-4?
I was trying to work out whether we needed 7 or 8
in the last 5 minutes.
In the last 5 minutes, yeah. No, I mean, nice that he got a goal. He's worked hard up there sometimes, and it's been hard work sometimes for him, isn't it? So nice that he got on the score sheet.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, in isolation, the game itself was actually quite a good game, good result against a side who wasn't that far away from the Autos. They're fourth in the league, and they play really well. I'd say they're probably one of the favourites. Well, they've got to be favourite for the playoffs. Jared, I think it was Jared that said that game itself was a great snapshot of the entire season. Not good enough for the first half, a little bit better, and just didn't do enough in the end. And I was like, actually, we don't need a season DVD. We'll just put that one game out. There you go, chaps, that's the season. But how are you kind of feeling after the game, Paul? A lot of people, I think, had resigned themselves to the fact it was happening. So it was like a very slow death. So it wasn't too much upset. But how are you feeling after the game, Paul?
Yeah. The end was a death by 1,000 cuts, wasn't it? And it was like, actually quite positive about it, really. That that we'd had a decent run. It looks like we've got a manager who wanted to stay and had got things moving, and and things bode well for next season. Actually, it didn't take me long to be looking forward to next season and thinking we got a really good chance here. We've learned a lot. We won't have to spend gazillions on infrastructure if we go up again. And I think we got a really good chance. So I was so I wasn't too down for too long.
Fair enough. I mean, the group moved on very quickly because most of the day has been said talking about flavours of crisps that they prefer rather than doom and gloom about football. It's like, come and join the exciting group where we talk about all things Sutton United and crisps. But Dan, how are you kind of feeling afterwards?
It was weird actually, because like as we said earlier, I'd kind of resigned myself to it. Kind of back, I think I fully thought like that's us done. Was the home game against Salford? We were just so bad that night, and you could just tell there was something wasn't right with the squad. So for me, it's been kind of a bit dead men walking for a while. And just the longer it took for Steve to get the team on sort of doing what he wanted to and get that first win, with every game passing, it was and not getting a win, it was just like, oh. So yeah, I was fully, resigned to it pre-match. I hadn't placed any real kind of emotion or expectation. It was more what will be. But yeah, I was still gutted at the final whistle. A bit down about it, and then actually coming out and just seeing as we walked down the stairs, the lads, all the younger lads were there, and the two boys who obviously do the drumming, who've been with the drum, were just both sat there, and you could just see it on their face, just that look of devastation, and it was kind of like, yeah. And I think that kind of was more saddening to me, just to see, the disappointment on other people's faces. I mean, I've been watching this crap 40 years, so so for me, it's, with that old sort of slightly older cynicism about worldly cynicism, it's a bit easier, I think, to kind of roll your eyes and go, all right. But yeah, just told them, chins up, it'll come again, and you've kind of just got to take it on the chin and
go with it. Yeah, I mean, one of the things I've kind of jotted down to go next week really is the whole National League thing being difficult to get out of. In fairness, yeah, you're right, but we've only ever really tried once, and I think we only half tried. So it only took us one or a half attempt to do it. So you never know. But we mentioned earlier the noise of the group. They just did not stop. And what was funny is where I was, you could see the police and the stewards milling around, kept looking at them. The head steward keep looking and on the radio. And I kind of went, they're all right. They've just been a bit boisterous, but they're all right. They're fine. 100 seconds later, they let off the flare.
Yeah, the smoke bomb, yeah.
Cheers, boys. Just made me look all right twat. But the gallows humour as well. I don't know, did you actually hear the wording, Paul? But for the last 10 minutes at least, it was 10 more minutes in the Football League, 10 more minutes in the 9 more minutes in the Football League.
Yeah, I did hear that, yeah.
Then with the added time and all, 6 more minutes in the Football League. And yeah, it was very, very funny. And yeah, all in good humour and fair play to them. And I think a lot of them, I know everyone goes on about, we're going to lose this many and that many, but I think a lot of them, they're not hooked necessarily on Sutton United. They're hooked on coming to football, meeting all their mates. So
definitely, yeah.
That probably won't stop. The players were clapped off quite enthusiastically. I know, Dan, there's been various points in the season where you would have absolutely been fuming at the thought of the players being clapped off at the end of the season. Did you agree with it? Were you clapping as well? Because I mean, the game itself, they deserve to clap.
I mean, I tend to take it more in game by game on stuff like that.
Right.
I mean, and over the last, since Steve came in, the overall kind of air around the side and their efforts, and as Steve said himself, they've put everything out there to try and stay up, and I can't fault that effort. What went before is what went before. We were shit until Christmas, You know, you can't deny that. We won 3 games up to December. So yeah, I mean, they deserve the applause because of their efforts second half. They didn't give up. A lot of teams would have just shut up shop at 3-1 and probably got pumped. Probably lost by 4 or 5 or 6. They didn't. They kept going. They threw everything at it. You could see they gave a. That's the thing with our supporters. If we can see the lads out there just giving everything and giving a shit, then that's half the job, really. Yeah. You know, that we can see that, and they did. You could see that even right at the end at 4-4, like you said, they could have just settled for that because they knew that wouldn't send them bottom. But there was still, you know, we sent Steve up for that last free kick right at the death to try and win the game, and that for me was a positive thing. They stayed positive right to the end, and yeah, they deserve the applause just purely for that. You know, in the context of that game. What happened over the whole season, you can't communicate that at that point. Yeah, there's a lot of disappointment there, but yeah, I mean the efforts overall, and for the neutral, it was a great game in isolation. In isolation. If that was, we were in September and we'd got that result, everyone would be going, well, you're unlucky. You've scored 4 away at MK Dons and not won the game, and it would be a tinge of disappointment, but a great result. So yeah, you can't have a pop at people, and besides, even if you wanted to be at that mindset, you're 300 miles away from them up in the gods. They wouldn't
exactly.
Anyway. They couldn't hear. All they've just seen is someone pointing and gesticulating. So,
so Harry stayed out the longest. I don't know, Paul, when they cut the.
They showed it.
They showed it. Yeah. So he stayed out a very long time, but not before he gave someone else the little push that they needed to go in front of the fans to hear everyone chanting, "There's only one Clive Baxter." So Harry's very good at that, actually, because name dropping again. And I spoke to Ollie's mum. She was like, he loves Harry Smith, and part of it is because at Salford he was going off down the tunnel because he's a quiet lad, and Harry dragged him back over to send him to you lot to take the applause because of the goals he scored. So yeah, he's good. But I mean, are we reading anything into that or not yet?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. Are you reading into the fact that he's delighted to be here and he's going to give it his all next season? Is that what you're reading into it?
Yeah, something like that, Mike. Yeah. No, it looked it did look a little bit goodbye to me, but as you say, I'm guessing, but yeah,
we don't know.
Don't know.
I believe there were bids for him, and it was almost all done in January. And he only got sent off, which scuppered the bids because he was banned for so long. Yeah, I believe. I'm not 100%. Don't know everything, but I believe so. But what did you read into that, Dan? Anything? Nothing?
Bit of both, I think. He's clearly a guy who does care. You know, his efforts, and you can see certainly since Steve's come in and he's been, and obviously with Eastie being unavailable and Harry in and out of the side, Future in and out of the side, he obviously turned to him as his skipper. And I think the actual giving him the armbands really sort of brought him on quite a fair bit as well, because it's given him that extra responsibility. He's always cajoling. He's always, you know, trying to organise, get the lads going, gee everybody up. He just sort of tries to lead by example. So I think there's a bit of an aspect to that. I mean, you could look at it and just say that he was just gutted and just wanted to kind of do it as a sort of a show of appreciation to everyone that had travelled. But there is also the aspect of, did it look like a goodbye?
Yeah.
You could easily interpret that, and I wouldn't be amazed if people are making offers for him in the summer. No. He's a big lad, but he can play a bit. He chips in with goals. He does the dirty stuff. He does the graft. He's a perfect League Two, League Two, League One footballer. So I wouldn't be amazed if people are certainly sniffing around and will be making offers. It's then down to whether he wants to stay or not, I guess, and if the offers are sufficient for the club to say, yeah, you can go.
Exactly.
I hope not.
No, I hope not. I mean, I've got this little tiny hope. There was something he said on one interview about not being available for a lot of the season, and that kind of that played on his mind a little bit, and I'm like, I wonder will that play on your mind enough over the summer to go, no, I'm gonna help him get back. I don't know. Just if you listen, Harry, then yeah, I'll say that here away from you because
How old is he? I can't remember how old he is.
28.
Yeah, he's not quite 30 yet.
Yeah, I want to say 28. I don't know why I want to say 28, but I'll say 28. One other quick thing on the sort of after the match. Steve apologised and used the word failed. It was my job to come and do this, and I failed, and I want to apologise. And I was like, okay, I mean, that seemed a bit dramatic to me. I guess, I mean, he said several times he's a winner and he wants to win and all the rest of it. But I mean, what did you think there was any need for that? Because we could see what he's been doing. Paul, we'll start with you on that one. Am I getting oversensitive?
Yeah, the word took me back a bit, I have to say. Yeah. I thought don't be too harsh on yourself, but I'm not a professional footballer or a professional manager, and certainly not a manager who's come in at January to keep us up. So I guess that was his ultimate goal, and he hasn't done it. But it's not as black and white as that, is it? So what he definitely had a lot to turn around there. He managed to turn a lot of it round. Perhaps would have done with a bit more time. So I think I think if he went into the bar, he wouldn't be shouted down for being a failure. No chance of that.
No,
so I think he did a terrific job the time he's been in. I think giving him a full season next year, then we'll see what comes out of that, won't we? But and I think mainly I think vast majority hearing that he's going to stay on for next year are perfectly happy with that. And, I don't think the word failure came across our mind. Well, certainly mine.
Dan, but I mean, one thing I might ask him, depend how it goes, is these decisions that you wish you'd made earlier. What were they? I think I know one of them. But
you can make guesses there.
Yeah. What did you kind of think of the whole failure and apologising?
I think that's more because Steve is, as we've come to see, he's a very straightforward, straight-talking kind of guy. He doesn't mince his words much. So I think it's more, and also because he's big on his mentality stuff. So I think he came in obviously with the job of turning things around and keeping us up. He hasn't done that, so by definition he has failed. He's also, though, I guess, the sort of guy who would use that to drive him on. Yeah. He's not that sort of guy who would wallow in failure. He will, learn from it. He seems that kind of guy. So I didn't read a lot into it. I felt that was just kind of Steve, I'm here to do a job. I didn't do it. Therefore, I have failed. So I don't think he's going to be beating himself up about it or anything like that. But if anything, he'll use it as he's just a very plain speaking guy. I think that's mostly what it was.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I kind of picked up on it is he doesn't strike me as the kind of person just to say things to appease fans or anyone. Really. Just kind of, I'm just paying lip service for what you want to hear. And as Paul said, I don't think anyone had kind of went, oh, well, you failed. It's just odd choice of word. Maybe it's just a choice of word. Right, so there is one more thing I'm going to do on the match in a second, but can either of you work out roughly what might be the highest scoring men's match that I was at? It's not that many years. I mean, it's a few years now, but it's not that many years. Someone did laughably say, oh, Swindon away or Stockport away this year. And I was like, well, first of all, they were both away, so no, I wouldn't have been at them. And they would have only matched eight goals.
I'm trying to think of did we have any nines?
Have we had a 5-4? I don't think we had a 5-4, have we?
I don't think we've ever had a 5-4 at home. We've definitely had one away.
I'm going to tell you, it wasn't an away match. It was
away.
It was.
Yeah, it wasn't 5-4.
Dartford then.
Dartford, yeah, it was 6-3, wasn't it?
6-3, yeah.
Yeah. I said that to someone. They went, no, it wasn't 6-3. And I'm like, I swear to God, it was 6-3. And I wish you had told me that before I did my video. But yeah, Dartford 6-3, which was an insane game of football. Even more insane than yesterday. So I think there were people still sitting down. It was 2-1 or something.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right, so I'm going to give you two a little teaser of one of the things I've got for next year. Aren't you lucky? Huh? So hopefully this will play, or I have to press play. Come on.
I couldn't hear anything there.
Oh no! You couldn't hear it. Really?
It looked pretty.
Oh no!
Couldn't hear it.
Really
Sorry,
annoying.
mate.
That's annoying. I was pissing myself as well. That's going to look great on the YouTube.
Hey, you enjoyed it. That's
yeah,
amazing.
YouTube video of me just sitting there quietly for 50 seconds, witting myself laughing. That's going to be amazing. Let me see if I can find it on here now. Basically, I did used to do the good, the bad, and the ugly. And then I realised very quickly that's two negatives. And obviously I am Mr. Positive, so I can't be doing two negatives. So I changed it to the good, the bad, and the funny. And I did an edit. Obviously, Dan, you know that. So... Oh. Now you see why I was giggling to myself. So Dan, what was your good, bad, and funny from yesterday? It doesn't have to be in the match. It could be for a whole day. Yeah, you've just proved one of my points that I'm going to be warning guests coming on that I'm going to ask this question.
Yeah, this makes like great material, doesn't it? Great content this while someone sits there thinking. Quick fire, let's see. I suppose good. Just the second half performance. The fact that we stuck to it, we didn't give in. The lads just went for it. That was good. The bad, obvious. The final whistle. The funny. There was a fair bit of that actually afterwards. Back once we'd kind of all got a couple of points and kind of got over that initial. Certainly back in London when we had a beer back in London. A certain, not me, but one of the party managed to, as I think I tweeted, managed to have their lens pop out of their glasses twice in 2 minutes in a boozer, which had us all searching around with our phone torches on the floor for it. Found it, popped it back in, and it just popped straight back out again, and we had to do the whole thing again. And everyone in this pub up in Euston is looking at us going, "Who are these dickheads?"
What are they doing?
While we're sort of like all around on the floor with phone torches trying to find a glasses lens.
Some kind of new TikTok craze? What's going on? What are they doing?
Is this some sort of, one of those weird crowd mob things or something? Yeah. Should we be joining in?
It put you on mute, Paul, so you'll have to come off that. But you've got a more limited range of options. You can't say good is the second half, the bad is the first half. That's shocking.
Right. No challenge. No, good. I was going to go the second half performance. That was good.
Yeah.
The bad. I mean, I wasn't there, but a football stadium so far out of town that has DGIs as its place to go for a beer before is just everything that's wrong with modern football, in my opinion. It's just, just rubbish, absolute rubbish. Which is one of the reasons why I didn't go. Funny. Obviously not a lot can happen when I'm sat there looking at 3 screens for 3 hours, but I did enjoy. I'm going to claim Dan's because I was reading Dan on Twitter, and that made me chuckle about the glasses. So I'm claiming
glasses. That. All right, fair enough. Well, mine was the good was I think Juki's first goal. It was from a stupid angle. The bloke.
A cracking finish actually. I watched it back today, and I was like, bloody hell! How he's got it in from there, I do not know.
Yeah, he's not scored from us. He's not even assisted, I don't think. And what's he doing? Scoring from that angle. It's ridiculous. But yeah, really, really, really good.
Are we calling that deliberate? Is that was?
Yeah,
are we calling
yeah. Watching him do it, I absolutely think
You had a better angle actually from the stand. I think.
Yeah. The FIFA high capper we were on. It's almost like sensible soccer at some point. I was watching from up. Bad, I'm going to go is the smoke bomb / flare thing. Annoying little bits just after I praised them all saying they're good boys. Funny was having a pint at TGI Fridays where families are out having their Saturday treats, and they're invaded by football fans who apparently they had no idea that we're bringing that many, which I don't think we had much idea that we're bringing that many, to be fair, until quite late. The lady I spoke to was like, you know what, you guys are fine. They had to do plastic glasses and a few people were whinging. And she's like, it's a licensing thing. We have to because we're so close to the stadium. And she's like, I know you lot are going to be fine because all of you seem nice. But she goes, a couple of weeks ago, we had people throwing glasses all over the place and knocking over tables and everything. I'm like, how can you do that? I mean, all they'll do is go, yeah, we're not serving football fans. Get out. That's it. So, yeah, that it was funny having to have a drink in TGI Fridays. And I look forward to the mortgage repayments when they come through. So we're going to finish up very quickly. There is the final table for results. I only did the top 25. There were more, but they kind of were all getting less than 40 odd points, so they clearly weren't playing that regularly. So a couple of high points to have a little look at. We've got MB and RB, both joined late, but they've got 25 and 29% hit rate, so they are definitely ones to look for next season. We've got Rory here on 18, who is my 0 correct results buddy. I beat Coxie, so that's really, really important. But there's me, 83 points and not one correct result in 55 games. I think that is a record I can be proud of. The knowledge man. Just above me there is Jenny, Slickers and Kickers. Then we've got a few more people. Top 5 is Alistair and Toothman. It's Neil. Chalmers on 124. Andy on 133. And Darbinator out in front on top, 137. So
come on.
I think Andy did go for a draw. Obviously not a 4-4 draw. So congratulations, Paul. You win. And there will be a cup on its way to you. And I mean a literal cup.
Cup.
It's going to be a cup. Yeah, it's going to be a mug. Yeah, you win the mug.
Well, thank you very much, Mike. I mean, I take no pleasure from predicting us to lose and draw for the last 5 months, but well, I do a bit. Yeah.
Well, you'll have to next season adjust your strategy because we'll win games. The only fly in that ointment is if Morecambe get done before the end of this season. I think if they do get a deduction in the summer, it will be nothing to do with us anymore. So I don't know what the cut-off date is, but that is not even a hope really to pin on because it's not like a crappy club like Swindon going bust. That's Morecambe. They're all right.
Yeah.
So yes, so don't forget, guys, the votes are in for the POTS, the podcast POTS player of the season, and also as we have mentioned, next week is the fans game. I've got some exclusive little merch there. I don't know if they're selling it, but I've got it anyway. So we are pretending to run around and play football. Some of us are pretending a lot more than others. That's me. I think I've only joined to make everyone else feel better. But we haven't got a game to look forward to. The diary is empty. There is no more, but we will be back to do a season review. But for now, this episode of Sutton Podcast is over. We appreciate your attention. I still haven't replaced it, but I've got loads now. Do give us your feedback and suggestions. There is going to be some changes going over the season, and there will be more of the crappy jingles. I cannot believe how many people have really went, yeah, they were quite fun. Annoyingly fun, but they were fun. So I've got, okay, I can do crap. I'm fine. I'm in my happy place now. So like, subscribe, share on all of the social medias, give us a shout. But until next time, thank you as always to our sponsors, Lucky Star Gin. Big thank you to today's panel. We've got Dan and Paul. Thanks to listeners. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. And as I say, next up, barring any celebrity jumping in, we will have, it's actually next Saturday, otherwise it will clash with the fans game on Sunday. I might have mentioned the fans game, I'm not entirely sure. But we will have on Claire, Joe, and a new guest, George, on. But if anyone else fancies it, give us a shout and we will join you into the therapy session. Take care and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
United!